Welcome, everyone, to Topic Wonders number 18. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Steampunk Star Raisin.
VamperStreet.com. Hello.
And I'm with Ray. How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing fine. How are you two?
All right. Me and Daniel just broke the news on the Real Trekkies cast that Anton Yelchin, who plays the new Chekhov, had passed away in a car accident. He was age 27. So he's going to be seen in the new Star Trek Beyond that comes out July 22nd. So our hearts go out to him and his family at this great tragedy. Did you know about this, Steampunk?
Well, you sent me a link to the article, and I briefly skimmed over it. Yeah, it was an odd way for him to die.
Yeah.
He got killed by his own car that he apparently didn't put the emergency brake on, and his own car rolled back and smashed him. That's just a weird way to die. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
It's a weird year. All the celebrities are going to be going this year.
Yeah.
All the good ones.
I know we lost a lot of celebrities this year. Yeah.
What with David Bowie and everything, and now this.
Bowie, Prince, Christina Grimmie.
Yeah. That was a tragedy too. Rest in peace to all of them. I wanted to discuss some science stuff that's come out. Turns out they said that in the news, they said that they found oxygen in another galaxy, I believe, which, you know...
Well, oxygen exists everywhere in the universe and the galaxy. I mean, there's nebulas where they've detected oxygen, but it's so thin that you wouldn't be able to breathe it. It's not like you can fly into a nebula and go, I'm going to breathe this oxygen. But yeah, that's not surprising, but it is one of the components that could lead to the development of life.
Yes.
As we know it.
Well, they said that they had found atomic oxygen on Mars. That was one thing. But that you can't have life, right? Atomic oxygen.
Well, you could have, like, on Mars, is 95% carbon dioxide atmosphere. The atmosphere is about 200 times thinner. I don't know. I'm not 100% accurate on this, but it's hundreds of times thinner than the air that we breathe. So the atmospheric pressure on Mars is very, very thin. So even if you had any oxygen on the surface, you wouldn't be able to breathe it because it's too thin for you to breathe it.
Well, this article actually...
But their blue-green algae could live on Mars.
Yeah, this article that I was talking about, to be more specific, says scientists spot the oldest oxygen ever found in the universe. It was detected in a galaxy from a long ago, far away, 13.1 billion light years away to be exact. This galaxy, which they're observing as it is just 700 million years after the birth of the universe, shows the oldest signs of oxygen scientists have ever seen. That's a big deal. In the immediate aftermath of the Big Bang, when the lightest elements, helium, lithium, and hydrogen existed, every element such as carbon and oxygen are necessary for the formation of life as we know it. These elements didn't form until the first stars had aged enough to produce them by way of fusion. New research on the galaxy SXDF-NB1006-2, which was published on Thursday, helps us get closer to pinpointing the origin of these life-giving molecules. It also goes
data from the Kepler spacecraft?
I believe this is from... Well, let me send you the article first. I don't know if you can see it on the phone. Probably not.
Well, it's okay. I mean, it's interesting. Yeah. The only way we're going to know for sure whether these organic components could develop life is if we send a spaceship out there. And unfortunately, we don't really have much of a space program anymore. And so hopefully one day we can turn it around and try to develop interstellar spacecraft. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
Even searching for alien signals, because we're talking about space and space exploration, so I might as well just say what's on my mind.
Yes.
But they have problems sometimes communicating with the rovers on Mars because of solar interference from the sun. So the chance that we're going to successfully be able to get a radio signal from an alien civilization is very remote, because there's so much interference, and the signal gets weaker and weaker the more it spreads out. And so the only way you're going to actually be able to communicate with potential alien life or potential alien civilization is to actually try to find a solar system and go seek them out. That's the way I look at it.
Right. What do you have to say, Ray?
I was just going to say it's very interesting that it was found all those years away. So there could be a planet like us in that galaxy which could house life or anything we don't know, and we could be a link to it somewhere.
Right.
That could be like, I'm not even we're talking about dreams and that could be where our dreams are coming from, that galaxy. You'll never know.
Our dreams?
Yeah, because we say that because they say that our dreams, we are dreaming about another one of ourselves. We're living another one of ourselves. From another.
Well, I mean that's a theme that's been explored in episodes of Star Trek, where there's a parallel Earth, and not in a parallel universe, but in another solar system in the galaxy, where evolution and things happen almost exactly the same way, but something different happens, some minor element happens. So there's people who look just like us, and it looks just like Earth, and they call it Earth, but something else happened differently in that history, but it was still like a parallel evolution. So yeah, that's entirely possible. It's entirely possible that there could be another Earth out there with the exact same history that we have. A whole duplicate Earth with duplicate people with parallel evolution. Yeah.
There might be one day we might get a teleportation, and we might just teleport to the planets instead of going by rocket travel.
Who knows?
Well, yeah, teleportation, that's probably a technology that would be like hundreds of years to if not thousands of years in the future, because, teleporting things is very hard, and will require the ability to accurately read every atom in your body. I mean, you have trillions and trillions of atoms in your body, and try to read the accurate placement and disposition of every atom. That's beyond our computer capacity to even store that. I mean, like in Star Trek, the transporter buffer is basically a computer with temporary memory storage. It stores the pattern of that person's atomic structure, and we don't have that capability. Even with the best computers, even if you were to put clustered servers together, we don't have that capability. We're very far from having a capability. So I would say transporters is maybe hundreds of years in the future, that we not within our technical grasp to do that. But interstellar spacecraft was within our technical grasp, but not within what like Star Trek. But you could have impulse engines, and you could have either nuclear propulsion. You could have it backed up with solar power for secondary systems, nuclear propulsion, and you could easily accelerate to about 20% the speed of light. And why, if you had an interstellar spacecraft that could go 20% the speed of light, you wouldn't be able to explore much of the galaxy, but you could explore like Alpha Centauri, which is only 4.5 light years away. And, so that would take like 20 years to get there one way. And so maybe 25 years to get there one way. So within, it's still not the best type of interstellar spacecraft, but it's a start. And I'm sure that if we were to invest in interstellar spacecraft, we could perfect and develop a way to make them a little bit faster and explore a little bit more of the universe. But a lot of people don't realize that within our technological grasp, if we're willing to spend the money, but we're not willing to spend the money, we could explore Alpha Centauri now. We just got to build the spacecraft. Engineers have had blueprints since the 70s of how to develop, actually since the 50s, they've had blueprints how to build an interstellar spacecraft that could go 20% speed of light using nuclear propulsion.
Yeah, but if you think about it, they also back then they had ideas for their own powered cars, and it's only coming in now where cars can drive themselves, where they're starting to do it and everything. And then they're talking about underwater cities to save life. That's going to be in the near future, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, right now we're space exploration, and I'd hate to admit it, is a little bit in decline. I mean, they're doing great things with the Kepler spacecraft, which is in geosynchronous orbit around the sun, and thus it's able to peer deep into space, detecting the wobble of stars and detecting the wobble of planets, orbiting those stars, and discovering all kinds of wonderful things using indirect evidence. And you have like the Voyager 2 is still sending signals back. It's amazing that spacecraft launched in 1977 is even still working.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jim, did you say something?
No, I'm saying you're right. That is phenomenal. That's still working.
I mean, they had to shut off the cameras. The last significant thing about Voyager 2 is that they had discovered sound in space in the heliosphere. The heliosphere is the buffer between deep space and the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not sound that human ears could hear if you were like exposed to space, because it's just very thin spread of hydrogen atoms. These hydrogen atoms vibrate at a certain frequency, just emitting a kind of sound that could only be picked up by scientific instruments.
Right.
And I listened to the recording of the sound. It just sounded like a bunch of screeching. But it's still interesting that there's some kind of sound in space that they didn't previously know about. And they shut off the cameras to save power. The plutonium reactor is starting to decay and has reduced the amount of power output. So they think that Voyager 2 will probably only be functional for like another 10 years.
Wow.
But some of the scientific instruments are still working. I think one of the radio antennas stopped working, and they shut down the camera to save power. But in that part of space, there's really nothing to look at anyway. So
right. Wow.
But so there's still a lot of great things going on. But I would just say that moving forward, I would say our space program is in decline.
Right.
Yeah, well, I know. Plus, there's so much of this planet which is still undiscovered, and there's so many things that can tell us here as well.
Ray, did you want to do that article, or did I send you?
I'll do it if you want me to, mate.
Yeah.
All right. But a new study from lead researchers has concluded that octopuses, not octopi, have alien DNA. Their genome shows a never before seen level of complexity, with a staggering 33,000 protein coding genes identified, more than in a human being. The oceans of our planet hide countless mysteries that could perhaps answer numerous mysteries of life itself. During the last couple of decades, marine biologists have made small but steady progress towards a deeper understanding of nature and life, and a group of researchers have decided to do some science and chose the octopuses in order to try and break down their DNA code, hoping to understand them better. And they're evolutionary issues, but goes back 500 million years.
Right. That's interesting. So octopuses could be from alien DNA.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was just saying, though. There's so much of this planet which is so undiscovered, and which we don't even know.
Right.
And we're going out into space. We should discover our own planet first before.
I don't know about alien DNA. I just think that they.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that with octopuses, but I mean,
I think that they really spend more time, classifying some of the species that we have on this planet.
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about this on his new version of Cosmos. He talked about how he found it weird that all life on Earth, and he had a theory for it, but he couldn't, using a scientific method, it's just a theory, unproven theory. But all life on Earth, all the way to the common bacteria, we share genes even with that bacteria. So bacteria are distant cousins to us. We evolved from a common ancestor with even simple life forms like bacteria and blue-green algae. And far enough back, even common ancestor with plants, because blue-green algae were, is like the predecessor to plants. But he was like, well, why did evolution arise? This was Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's like, why did evolution arise from just one genotype? Why wasn't there different types of life that evolved? But everything seemed to evolve from one singular life form. And right. he had the theory of Pangea, that maybe life originated on Mars and then got brought here in a meteorite. and life was more ideal on Mars at one time than it is now. But the only way you're going to find evidence of that would be to more in-depth explore Mars.
Right.
And probably you would need to send a manned mission with better scientific equipment than just a rover.
Yeah.
And, to be able to survey the geology to see if you could find any kind of fossil record that proves that there was any kind of life on Mars at any time, or if not, still now.
Yeah, but I've got to sorry, Joe, but I was going to say, yeah, but also, the ocean, they're saying about octopuses in the ocean floor can go for miles. They don't even know.
Right.
That's exactly true with, I know I bring up a lot, there's like loads of examples, but like the Bermuda Triangle, there's that electrical current which like drags planes down. They ain't explained that yet.
That fascinates me, the whole thing with the Bermuda Triangle. I was a kid.
And Atlantis.
We're gonna do a show on that one day.
Oh, Atlantis? Yeah, I've read Plato's Atlantis.
And the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Well, Atlantis, I mean, I could talk about that. I mean, this is the everything show, so.
Well, no, it's actually Topic Wonders. We could talk
Topic Wonders. Well, I mean, that's right. Sorry, I get confused with all the different shows.
That's okay.
Atlantis is a topic wonder of sorts, but
yes,
I've read Plato's Atlantis. I believe Atlantis was a real city, but I don't know where it would have existed. I don't believe it was a continent, because back in those days, back in ancient Greece, see Plato, if you ever read the book, it's actually only half a book that survives. Sadly, the book ends midway through without completion, and a lot of historians say that Plato became disinterested and just didn't finish it. But I think actually half of the book is lost because there was a lot of records through time and history that have been destroyed. So it's only half a book that either is not completed or the other half is lost. But Plato got the story of Atlantis, he states, from an Egyptian priest who talked about how they got it from their records 1,000 years before him, or something of that effect. And the reason why I believe Atlantis was probably a real place, but I was going to say, was back in those times, what they called a continent would be just a tiny island. What they called the world or the sea was just what they saw around them. So they had a much smaller view of the world than what modern people do today. So if Atlantis did exist, maybe it was a tiny island, or maybe it was just an offshore community or a community on the peninsula of some part of Europe. Some people theorize that Western Spain could have been the location of Atlantis. But the thing that leads me to believe that it was probably a real place is that he goes into mundane details about genealogy. And if you're going to tell an epic poem, which is what they like to do back then, that's the way they told stories, was epic poems like Beowulf. Beowulf actually came later than the Book of Atlantis, but that was the type of storytelling, like the Iliad. But you don't go, if you're going to tell an epic poem, an epic story, you don't go into mundane genealogy details.
Right.
Because Plato lists Neptune as the king of Atlantis, and he had 7 sons, and I can't remember all the names of the different sons, but one of the sons was named Atlas.
Right.
And so, but he goes into such great detail, the genealogy, that it leads me to believe that he's recounting something that's at least partially real, mixed in mythology, because of a lot of this dates from prehistory, and so that's an interesting thing, Atlantis, and I think it probably was real, but we haven't found any. We found circumstantial evidence, but no tangible evidence of where it could have been.
Right.
Plato's gives a very vague description of where Atlantis is located. He says it's beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which the Pillars of Hercules is the Strait of Gibraltar, the Gibraltar Rock. And so that could be anywhere in the Atlantic Ocean, but it definitely wasn't a big continent. There's no geological evidence of that a big continent ever existed that sunk. So if it did exist, it would have been a small island, or it may have been an offshore community of Africa or Europe that got washed aside in a flood. But who knows for sure? But I do believe that it has some basis in facts. Like like most mythology does. Like, Zeus was probably the king of Crete, dated back from prehistory before they actually started keeping records. And when they told stories and passed them down through oral tradition, that got distorted and turned into, oh, he wasn't just the king of Crete, he was a god,
Right.
So, so most mythology has some basis in fact. So It's interesting because it goes from oral tradition before they had writing,
Gotcha. All right.
Well, like you said, Joe, we'll go through it. We'll do a show devoted to that and on Bermuda Triangle one day, won't we?
Yes. All right. We're going to have to go for now, but thank you very much, Steampunk. Thank you, Ray. Hope you enjoyed Topic Wonders. We'll be back later tonight with a few podcasts. Take care. Bye for now.